Which celebrity is a complete asshole? Justin Bieber, but that's low hanging fruit. GF took her cousin, a huge fan of his, to one of his concerts a few weeks ago. The cousin won them backstage passes and even the super fun cousin was worried he'd be a big dick. I guess there were a few times on stage he freaked out and stopped songs that he didn't complete. One of them he was singing, then he'd stop to yell at the guitarist backup singer behind him that he was doing just fine and didn't want his help. He rage quit that song. Then another that involved him playing an acoustic guitar that didn't sound great, so he started complaining, "Thanks guys. Thanks for giving me an untuned guitar. Thanks a lot," then rage quit that song too. To put some perspective on it, backstage the people wrangling the fans got in each fan's face and told them they weren't allowed to scream, grab him, hug him, etc. Everyone. I think the guy loathes his career at this point and probably should retire for his sake. I've posted this before in another thread. For me, it was definitely Will Smith. Bad Boys 2 was filmed in Miami. One of the scenes involves the Metro Mover, a mass transit rail system that operates in downtown. My father owned a large plot of empty land near a key Metro Mover stop. He agreed to let them film and use his land as a base of operations. All he asked for in return was some passes for me and a friend to visit a closed set. I guess I was like 13 years old at the time. So myself, a friend of mine, and my father all go to the closed set on the specified day. We get in just fine. The person taking us around was awesome. We got the whole tour, etc. Then, our guide asked us if we wanted to meet the stars. We go up to the Metro Mover station and see the filming taking place. Both Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are there. After the scene was over, our guide approaches Will Smith and tries to tell him who we are, and how nice of our family it was to give the line for free for the filming. Will Smith proceeds to ignore her, and then blows past myself and my friend and leaves without even acknowledging us. My friend and I were crushed. Martin Lawrence saw all of this happen and immediately ran over to us. He apologized for Will Smith's actions, and then talked to us for a good while. He was an incredibly nice person. But I was so disappointed in the way Will Smith treated us. He knew we were huge fans, that my family was doing their production a big favor, and didn't give a single duck. I'll give a good celebrity encounter to balance this one out. I lived in the same building as Pharrell in Miami. I saw him on a regular basis. We took the same elevator up to our units. Not only is he one of the nicest celebrities I've ever met, he's also one of the nicest people. He is incredibly soft-spoken and humble. And his kid is adorable and well-mannered. His bodyguard, Ben, is also really cool. My friend who also lives in the building accidentally took the service elevator and ended up in the hall behind his unit. Ben was there, and ended up giving my friend a whole tour of Pharrell's apartment. Pharrell also gave him a signed set of shoes. Every interaction I've had with both of them has been great. I couldn't have asked for better neighbors. Michael Phelps. Most people thought he was a tool in high school. He was the type of person to assume faculty would kiss scissors and be fine with him skipping class and not doing work because he was swimming. They hated him. He would also randomly throw food in the hallway as people would head out of lunch en masse. Only the administration liked him because he made them look good. They even stopped class to make us watch one of his swims on TV. They went so far as to rename the street the school was on to Michael Phelps Way, which also hissed off the neighborhood. Though they changed it back when he got caught smoking weed up. A lame reason, but whatever to get his name off. Goes either way depending on who you were in the situation. My dad met Christopher Walken in a bar, but it wasn't under pleasant circumstances. Basically, Walken had been doing something in the area, my dad has no clue what, and he walked into the bar around 8 or 9 PM. My dad wasn't that old, maybe in his 30s tops. So this was about 20 years ago or so. As soon as Walken sits down, people at the bar start mobbing him for autographs, grabbing sheety stained napkins, baring skin, whatever it'd take to get his autograph. He just stood up angrily, shouted something akin to "duck off. All of you. Leave me the duck alone," and then pointed to my dad and said, "But give that guy a drink on me." He's the only one who didn't give a shit, or something to that effect. My dad doesn't believe in being starstruck, so he kinda just went, neat, Christopher Walken, and continued watching TV. I have a waiter friend who took care of Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley once. Apparently MJ told him that the privilege of waiting on them was his tip. Barkley slipped him $100 on the way out and apologized. Michael Bay. When I lived in LA, every person I knew in the entertainment industry, everyone, had at least one unique story about what an unnecessarily ridiculous, raging asshole Michael Bay was for absolutely no good reason. Knew a guy on the Transformers crew who would bring a different shirt to set just in case Bay fired him. Michael Jordan. The guy invited his high school coach, who benched cut him, and another player on the team to his Hall of Fame induction just to say look where I'm at now, and then practically told his kids, I wouldn't want to be you in comparison to his career and their potential. Edit. For those thinking Jordan was probably gracious to his family, this should help show how much emphasis he put on his family and their support. I always felt that Bill Murray is secretly in his hole. That's no secret. He beat his wife, blatantly acts like he's better than people, and lied about thinking Garfield was written by the Coen brothers. My sister-in-law worked on Capitol Hill, and she has a lot of stories about politicians. Those who are actually nice and those who suck are surprising sometimes. Celebrities come up to the Hill a lot to pitch for whatever charities or issues they support. She said Angelina Jolie was incredibly kind, while Catherine Zeta-Jones yelled at her for being a liar when she asked for an autograph for her little sister and refused to give it to her. She accused Maisel of wanting an autograph for herself. I've posted this before, but given this thread occurred the same day he made the front page, I'll post about it again. My aunt was once an aspiring actress and was classmates with a bunch of now famous actors at Juilliard. She told me a story about Kevin Spacey, and this time he invited these two homeless men out for dinner at a really nice upscale restaurant. They went, and they had a really nice meal. After they ate, Kevin Spacey invited the two of them up to his hotel room, and they refused, saying they were grateful for the meal but didn't want anything else. He told them that was fine, and that he needed to use the bathroom. He then ditched them there to pay the bill. Apparently he told this story to a bunch of people in his year, thinking it was a funny way he pranked a couple homeless guys. It really disappointed me when she told me this, because it was right after Usual Suspects and I thought he was fantastic in it. Taylor Swift. My old roommate helped build her tour bus. He said he'd rather gouge his eyes out with a dull spoon than ever talk to her again. Said she was very demanding and just plain rude to everyone because she carried herself like she was better than all of them. Kind of late to this thread, but it's not even my story. A friend of mine used to work security at one of the big casinos on the Strip in Vegas. Woody Harrelson got him fired. I think Woody has since sobered up, but he used to be a huge drunk. He was staying in one of high-rise rooms of the casino, and from the balcony and into the lobby, he threw a cake. My friend went to the room and Woody was totally wasted and totally naked with a bunch of hookers in his room. My friend told him he needed to get his act together and not throw things into the hotel lobby from up on high. Woody tried to attack him. Again, he is completely naked and drunkenly shouting and making an absolute scene. Woody complained to my friend's boss that he was harassing him and got my friend fired. To this day, my friend, who has worked security his whole life, said it was one of the worst encounters he has ever had with anyone, let alone a celebrity, and was the only job he's ever gotten the axe for. All because Woody Harrelson was an absolute twat, but famous. I lived in the same town as Justin Bieber, Stratford, Ontario. There are only 30,000 people in the town and I'm only a year younger than him, so we had a ton of mutual friends, played basketball together, and I frequently saw him at social gatherings. He was possibly the most arrogant little shit I've ever met. He would brutally make fun of people, disrespect adults for no reason, and one of my best friends told me that at a hockey game he hissed in some people's cups for no reason. The pissing in cups is probably the worst individual thing I've heard of him doing. It was mainly just that he was a constant douche up, he was always mean to people and extremely self-centered. I saw him once savagely make fun of a nice younger girl because her teeth were crooked. It was pretty hard to watch TBH. Edit. I thought I'd include a bonus fact. One time in grade 7 or so, my friend punched Justin in the face and he cried like an absolute little bitch. You can't tell from the way the media portrays him, but he is really small, one of the shortest guys I've met. It was good to see his mouth shut and I still think about it today. Edit. Some people don't seem to get why I talked about his height. It wasn't to say that being short is bad in any way. I made this post quick and probably wasn't clear enough, but what I meant by it was to show that for all the people he talked shit to, bullied or troubled, he couldn't physically back it up and ended up paying for it. Surprised no one has mentioned Lance Armstrong. He came to Nick a couple years back for business or something and reached out to the coach of my triathlon team to see if he could swim with us during his visit. Awesome, right? Wrong. We were all pumped for the swim that day, but he ended up being a huge big Diganda diva in the pool. Additionally, he divorced his wife that had seen him through cancer chemotherapy and whom he had kids with so that he could date other celebrities. On another note, I have read all the stories about how Michael Phelps is a big dig, but he also swam with us a while back and he was very pleasant and polite. David Hasselhoff. I was working at a movie theater near the Betty Ford Center when he was there getting treatment for his binge drinking. They'd let him out on a day pass with 2 nurses as his minders and he came to the theater. I was working concessions that day, and he was there for the matinee showing. Right after getting his ticket, he comes up to my register to order, completely blowing by the line of 20 plus people who were waiting patiently. I told him he needed to wait in line like everyone else. He tried to pull the "don't you know who I am" line on me. Yes, Emma Hasselhoff, I know who you are. I'm a big fan, actually. But it's not fair to the people who were here first to allow you to cut the line. Please step back and wait your turn. He proceeded to throw a goddamn diva fit, yelling, hands thrown in the air. The nurses escorting him looked mortified. I just ignored it and helped the next person in line. After a bit, the manager came over and asked what was going on, then told him to either wait in line or leave. He left. Looking back on it, he was going through a tough time, so I can kind of understand. I didn't know until after the fact that he was on a pass from the Betty. I just thought he was being a prissy stuck-up big digan trying to get away with shit because he'd been famous when I was a kid. But it's a bad first impression that stuck with me. How is Serena Williams not on here? ? Myself and anyone that has worked at an open tennis event can tell you she is such a diva. She has been known to kick other professional players off their practice court because she refuses to play on others. Never stops to sign for fans and always needs special treatment. Get over yourself, girl. It's just tennis. When I first moved to Los Angeles 15 years ago, I got work doing special events and party catering via a friend of mine. I've done everything from bat mitzvahs to the Oscars. Along the way I've met or interacted with hundreds of celebrities. As someone once said, you can truly judge a person's personality based on how they treat the help. For the most part, most big-time A-list types are very cordial and tipped well. Some were high maintenance but generally okay. People whose careers were over or on their way down were very nice and humble. The worst ones, by far, were the C or D-list types. The ones that were on their way up were especially bad. The only example that springs to mind was a party I was bartending that Tom Arnold was attending. He treated me and the rest of the staff like absolute shit and kept looking to the other party goers like, hey, look at me being an asshole to the little people. I've heard from friends still in the business that he's gotten much better, but that could because he has no real career anymore. I've been asked before who was the best person I met or the best experience. There's only one. It was a rainy night during the Oscars. I was outside having a smoke break when Selma Hayek came out looking for her car without an umbrella. Seeing I had one, I offered to escort her to her car. She accepted and we chatted for a little bit as she held on tightly to my arm. I thought I was going to die. This will probably get buried, but oh well. Mariah Carey. I was working as a PA at the time and a friend of mine knew her assistant. So I get a call from said assistant to see if I wanted to make some extra money and help set up her house she was renting while she was in LA. We were supposed to start at 10 AM. So I show up at 9:30 and there's about 10 people standing in the driveway. I ask what's up and they say they won't let us inside. One of these 10 people was her manager, one was someone very high up with Virgin Records, basically her boss, and the other was the nanny with her, Mariah's, 2 kids. None could go in. Not even her own children. We waited outside until 1 o'clock, 3 hours standing around and waiting because she's still sleeping. So we go inside and her assistant comes up to me and another PA and we are told don't look at her. If she comes into the room you're in, leave. If you don't I have to ask you to leave. This turns into basically a game of hide and seek while we're trying to set up the little princess's house. Around 7 o'clock the assistant asked us if we were hungry and she was going to order something. She asks if we like steak and of course we say hell yeah, so she orders takeout from Morton's Steakhouse. A pretty damn nice place, around $50 per steak, for the rest of the people there. At least there would be some good food at the end of this. Maybe she's not a huge bitch after all. So frickin' nice of her to do that for us. So the other PA and I are finishing up upstairs and everyone else is downstairs eating. We finish up and head down to the kitchen and Mariah is there. We make sure not to look at her and wash our hands. As we turn around she is cutting up the 2 steaks left for us and feeding them to her ducking dogs. Then she looks at us and says you guys can get something on your way home. They were hungry. The assistant pulls us aside, asks us if we're finished, then handed us each $80. The agreed amount was $200 each. And says she'll get the rest to us. She never did. TLDR, she fed her dog my steak.